When I was going to establish a palate cleanser, I kind of didn't expect this to be the form of the palate cleansing. Hello to another episode of Dice Scum Live. The name's Adam.
And I'm ImpCit, and today we will be discussing Werewolf, 5th edition again.
Yeah, that's going to be great. We're going to take a look at one of their newer splats that came out. It only came out, I believe, 4 months ago. We are taking a look at Shattered Nation, which it has a very different design philosophy compared to older Werewolf, and I'm definitely going to point that out. So the cover already kind of has a certain vibe going for it.
It's supposed to be the character of Jonas Albrecht, a famous Silverfang from the original lore.
Oh, that's going to be completely hilarious since you're going to see what they did to the lore. I mean, they already kind of did a lot of damage to the lore, but you're going to see how they did even more. So, once the Garou tribes were united in one mighty nation, ready and willing to fight for Gaia wherever and whenever they needed to. Now as the apocalypse rages, the mightiest bulwark that could have defended it against it is in tatters. The Garou Nation is shattered. I wonder why they shattered apart the entire concept of Werewolf the Apocalypse. Let's see, dead Gaia, shattered werewolves, the Get believing the others have degenerated. Where have I heard this before? Hmm.
Well, let's continue on. Maybe we'll understand more about it.
And Osel is asking, was Degenesis that bad? Honestly, no. Other than the Africa stuff, it's just I feel like it missed its potential. This is kind of a palate cleanser for people who weren't really interested in Degenesis. So we got a bunch of stuff to go through: the strength in the pack, among wolves, the rights of the moon, saga of the wolf, and speaking with the enemy, which that one's going to be very interesting. let's just be blunt. That's going to be completely hilarious. Uh, you can definitely tell chapter 1 was where they put the most effort into it, and it's probably going to be where we put the most effort going into. Then they have this completely unreadable, poorly. Oh, look at this abuse of white space to stretch out a book that they barely had the page count for. Look at this shit. Oh, I hate that. Well, that's a waste of 2 pages. Let's see. Making the challenge. So the Garou Nations is completely broken apart, and why can't they bring themselves to work together and fight the real enemy? It's a book about the Garou society in ruins, yet not all is lost. Um, Given that Werewolf 5th edition decided to ignore what the other books did and say that Gaia is dead, I'm gonna disagree with that. That's the weird thing if you think about it, right? So the Gehenna apocalypse, whatever you want to call it, the Paradigm Wars, reach a crescendo in between at the end of Revised, right? The big thing happens. Vampires weather it just fine. Yes, they have the Second Inquisition because of the loss of Shreknet being outed, but they're still around. They're doing fine. They actually weathered antediluvians coming alive. And the thing about hunters are the imbued are gotten rid of, which implies that the world is actually in a safer spot for hunters. That's a thing they do in Hunter 5th. So the world setting is actually improved. The world of darkness technically has improved, except for Werewolf, where they're going with the idea that Gaia is dying and that you're dealing with a dying spirit world, which is really fucking weird compared to the other stuff that they're hammering in. I just want to frame it to where this doesn't make sense to me already, lore-wise. Like for Apocalypse, it doesn't make sense.
Well, the purpose of this book is to help you use Garou society as part of your chronicle. So, the fact that the nation's gone, it's more how do we get people connected and how do we bring people together? And the first thing
So that's
is
interesting because that sounds like we're getting into something called toolkit use. This is a toolkit book, it sounds like.
possibly. I mean, the first thing we talk about
Hmm.
is the pack, the main werewolf social group. And they provide us various pack dynamics. which can be used in a variety of different werewolf groups. Nothing is particularly specific to one tribe.
Intermodal commonalities between the tribes to limit their effect and allow you to play more different packs. Where have I seen this before? Hmm.
Hmm.
I've seen
Well,
this
again,
somewhere.
we continue. Uh, as they describe different examples of pack dynamics, they bring up the family. Founding as a familial unit, often as a found family, though some are packs of family by
I
blood.
kind of like that they're going with the weird adoption fetish that you see in current modern entertainment. I don't
Yeah,
understand that.
we're a found family. You know,
Yeah, found family. I don't.
that means it's okay if family members engage in intercourse.
Well, you can't make the incest too weird.
It's not incest if you're not related.
Also, keep in mind that yes, they did bring back Wolfkin and a bunch of other things that they originally threw out because the player base kind of really hated the attempt to clean up Werewolf. I wonder how that family dynamic is going to go, especially since the Garou. I almost said the wrong word. Sorry. The Garou, especially since the Garou are not exactly the best at raising families sometimes.
Oh no, they completely are. It's not like one of them ends up getting angered at that and then becomes a superpowered werewolf mage vampire hybrid.
Oh yeah. I don't think that ever happened. I mean, I
I
remember there
will
was
be
an
honest,
explosion in Mexico, but you know,
Sam Height would probably improve this setting.
I I really do wish that we covered the skin. What was it called? The Skinner. Werewolf 20 has a great splat about his resurrection in the form of the Skinner.
Oh fuck, he came back?
There was an attempt to bring him back because remember he did successfully create a evil tribe of skin changers. He did actually create a tribe, and some of them actually decided to try to bring him back.
Let's see. The other types of teams we have is a team of rivals, group of professionals, generic sort of how do we get the team together?
Which fair enough.
But then the next important thing, obviously for the Garou, is how do they deal with the spirit world?
Well, that's interesting because the entire thing is they're soldiers of Gaia who try to protect the nature of the world itself. Yeah, spirits are important, but that's not the main thing. Hmm, it's reminding me of a certain book. Oh, okay. I have strong suspicions, but let's continue. Maybe I can confirm it later. They really go into details about how they work with spirits, which is interesting. And then they mention the veil, which it's almost like a gauntlet of some sort.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's lowered and parted. It's like a gauntlet. It's leaking in. Hmm. What is this reminding me of?
Wait, the Veil Spirit, the SCP Foundation.
True. Maybe they're like Task Force Nine-Tailed Fox. Mobile Task Force
Ex
Nine-Tailed Fox.
exactly.
Well, now we know they're ripping off the SCP Foundation.
Then they bring up uh, a different kind of pack, the Troop Pack. So, and I guess the troop is to be more of like idiosyncratic, or it's I don't know. It seems to just be the system, probably to copyright and trademark it,
Hmm.
as they talk about the pack's elements, such as their territory, uh, the mechanical effects of that, the mechanical effects of the community, connection to the spirit and the Umbra.
There's a lot of toolkitting here, because you can
Yeah.
basically design entire territories and systems of territories for entire packs. What is this reminding me of? There's a game system that I really like that does something like that. I'm struggling to remember the name.
Well, I do see the Cult of Fenris, so maybe they're talking about Warhammer 40K, in particular, the Fantasy Flight games.
Oh, I didn't know they got the right to have the Volca Fenrica show up for this. That must have cost a pretty penny.
Uh, Depending on the era, Games Workshop could have handed that out for the cheap.
That would have been really interesting. I think chat's trying to remind me of a game. Something about the Forsaken. Oh,
You mean the Fall?
oh. Hmm?
No, wait, you mean the Fallen from Transformers?
Yeah, I thought that.
Megatronus Prime?
Yeah, maybe that's what you mean. Megatronus Prime, the Fallen, the one who served Unicron.
No, that's Galvatron, technically. Megatronus Prime is just, depending on the setting, is just a dick.
True. But yeah, it's interesting because then they go into how communities work and how they handle with people and
You
how
know,
these
the
mechanical models
Delirium.
work. No, and then they
They give
cover the
us.
spirits and how they handle spirits.
Actually, no, this is much more of a Warhammer thing now because when they give us the tables of like the pack names, you get the generic list of first name, last name. Although, unlike
But before we
Warhammer,
do,
where
look at this full page spread where they just kind of assembled people and had them wear bad makeup or digitally added bad makeup and then just used a lot of filter effects to hide that.
also one of them is a goblin, one of them has elf ears.
That's supposed to represent, oh god, I forget the name of all the forms in Apocalypse, but that's supposed to represent like their near human form.
Uh,
Because there's full human, then there's near human, and then there's the war form, and then there's the mostly animal, like the dire version animal, and then there's full animal. He's in near war form. Not near war form, near human form.
Still, though, I do like with the pack names here. You can get the Silver Machine,
Oh yeah,
the
they
Monkey
like go into details about the
Oracles,
creations of this stuff. They put a lot of effort in this.
the Forest Gorillas, the Death Children.
You're really telling
Yeah,
me they
yeah,
could only come up with 10 ideas for each?
D10.
I get it, but like you didn't come up with more tables, like more choices for this?
Well, well again, unlike Warhammer, where things can be more sort of specific and tailored towards a specific army, this is much more generic, a toolkit, almost like it could be put anywhere within a society
Yeah,
or anywhere
it's
throughout history.
yeah, it's really weird, especially since it's really kind of ignoring all of the lore that was in the setting. It's almost like they're completely trying to erase it or something. I don't know why. It's almost like they're trying to take a game from another system and just they removed the name and put theirs on it, like they stole homework or something.
Oh, it's the most powered by the apocalypse.
Yeah, it's really causing a sense of deja mustard.
But next up is the pack types. So one
These
of
are
your pack types,
pre-medes. These are
yeah,
pre-medes.
the activists. They believe in a better human society that opposes the worm by shutting down the injustice, inequality, prejudice, and hatred that feed and corrupt the world.
Oh yeah, that's so this is a natural evolution of Werewolf the Apocalypse, where effectively it's humanity that corrupted the worm. This is actually not a new concept in Werewolf the Apocalypse. It's just really fucking stupid whenever they do this. It's really fucking stupid whenever they do this.
I mean, the original game did not shy away from, especially like with we did the War for the Amazon book, and that actually had an outright call to action.
Yeah, and it's understandable because the Amazon was getting heavily deforested at the time for ranching, and several parts of it were torn apart just to build hydroelectric dam projects and stuff like that. I mean, that was more in Goiânia, which is not where the Amazon is, but the same concept.
Still
it's just really kind of interesting. They're still kind of pushing because this is more of a Children of Gaia thing. This is more of a Phil Mercado thing, which is interesting. It's a take that not a lot of people liked. At
take
least,
that not a lot of people like. What are you, White Wolf? But let's see. The other groups you could be Avengers, Banishers, Karen Guards. Oh, actually, with the Banishers, bring up they not only track spirits, they track cryptids.
huh?
Interesting. Isn't there another? I wonder if there's a hunter book that goes with this that directly describes how to create various monsters and cryptids.
Yeah, yeah.
If not, they should really get on that.
Yeah, there's a thing called Night Horrors or something in another franchise I'm aware of. It
Oh,
allowed you to create
Curseborn.
things like, yeah, Curseborn. It allowed you to
But new
create
that,
monsters and
but
stuff.
wait, how could they steal from a game that isn't even released yet? And in fact, wasn't even I think proposed when this book came out.
That's weird. Maybe they have time wizards on hand.
They could, yeah. Let's see. You can be couriers, diplomats, evangelists for Luna. Luna? What? What is a
Hmm.
VTuber doing here? I didn't realize they could be fans of Hololive.
That's it. That's interesting because I don't remember the Garou Dukes somewhat venerate the moon, if I recall correctly, because it's how their cycles or stuff were born or whatever. I don't remember. I don't remember the Garou as much as I do the Kindred, but that feels like an over representation. I remember there was another book that did something like this with Mother Moon. Hmm,
Vampire?
maybe I'm just confusing it with that, or maybe I'm confusing it with the Bull Cult that we read a long time ago.
Hmm.
Only that was
Though
with a sun.
I do want to point out, Prissy Princess Cyanides. You better watch out, punk. My pack's the claw machine,
I mean, that's not too
stealing your
bad.
quarters.
I'm just envisioning they all sound like the little green aliens from Toy Story.
Wait, no, I know. They're talking about moon cults. Glorantha.
True. They
This is
wanna venerate.
Glorantha,
Yeah, they
the
wanna
red
venerate
goddess.
the red goddess's Rumpy Dumpy. Also, a
Uh,
VTuber Medi sounds really fun. That sounds like a real fun shitpost idea. I
let's
actually
see.
think that'd be really cool.
Oh yeah, that would.
Another fun concept would have been is a get a Fenris Amish, like a Hutterite or any of the Anabaptists that basically shun technology and are pacifists, because you'd have to play them really different to how you usually do. Also, Hellraisers, which are just punks. They're punks from the '90s because
The 90s.
I mean,
And
don't
then
get me
Monkey
wrong, that's
Wrenchers.
fine. It's just kind of,
And the Monkey Wrenchers, otherwise known as domestic terrorists.
oh yeah, be gay, do crime. That's what they are.
Then again, it's Werewolf.
Yeah, be gay, do crime.
That actually. And then finally, Occultists.
I mean, they have to
They
deal with
st-
ghosts a lot. It seems like they have to deal with ghosts an awful lot, to the point where they seem to care more about them than they do the Earth dying.
yeah, maybe there's a wraith splat for it, or some other generic splat about ghosts and how to use them in a setting.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Like, imagine if you could then have these ghosts work with like humans who have died before, and they like solve crimes and stuff.
Watching a VTuber model freak out while trying to match a Garou transforming into Warform while streaming. If you think about it, they could be in Warform and it would not have any delirium since, you know. Although I guess this would imply a lot of delays in streaming and perhaps some attempts at IRL content that fail.
I'm just now straight up envisioning. I'm just straight up envisioning I'm sorry, I have to take a break for mental health reasons, and it just cuts to the VTuber just screaming and throwing things in their room as a giant wolf monster.
Let's see. Penitence is the next one. They did not join the pack by choice. In the old days, when a sept believed a werewolf violated a litany, they were considered It's considered a milder punishment than death and allows them a path of redemption. So these are criminal gangs.
Yeah, maybe they are basing it on Warhammer because this reminds me of the penal guards you can play.
Well, there's another pack after another one-page spread of um,
Bad
a
CG
wolf,
art.
a wolf, the woman from what am I blanking on? Basically, a edgy '90s woman, uh, a punk, and a loser.
I mean, this is very 90s White Wolf in the sense that the basic style is there, but their choice to use, I think this might be AI art they threw through at least 2 or 3 filters. I wouldn't be surprised if this was either AI art or the cheapest Fiverr CGI artist out there. Which is not an offense to the guy who did this. Like, I'm not going to crap on you for it. But I can tell when they did not care, and they did not care.
But
Oh, here we have a question from Not Nito. Honest question: is it a me thing, or do both hunter and werewolf tend to devolve into causing fear? No, it's not you. It's not just you.
it's not. I mean, that kind of is the thing. Is that
It was the thing in Old White Wolf anyway, to a degree,
y-
since you're fighting systems, and sometimes you have to do pretty awful things. But they've really leaned hard onto it, I've noticed.
but as I was saying, this clearly can't be referencing Warhammer because there's reformers.
Oh, also, from Prissy Cyanide, are my beloved bone gnawers not going to get an equivalent? Well, you don't worry about that because Werewolf 5th Edition allowed it so that bone gnawers can have resources 5. They just take a penalty to their willpower for it. It's not like there's anything guiding them to lose their money via cosmic fate or anything if they ever come into it, or that to respect their totem they have to get rid of it. No, you could be a multi-billionaire running a large shipping company as long as you just as long as you just feel like you've given up in life.
You know what? That could work. You're a very rich guy, but you waste it all on various crypto scams.
That'd be fine. That'd be an
Although no, that
interesting
would
bone
hurt
gnawer.
that'd probably hurt the environment.
It would. You'd have to invest it all into like random things that you think are
Random
gonna.
charities, or I don't know, and you just live like a slob.
Either that or you
Oh, wait a
you make
minute.
like 6K
You're
figures a year, but like
you're
six
Asmongold.
figures a year. You're either that or you just do lines of drugs. Like you just do rails of coke and piss it through on drugs and opium.
So yeah, well, there are the scavengers as well, and the veil keepers.
So I'm already going to have some complaints with this setup is that they're coming up with ideas and basically pack pre-makes, but
Pack premakes, pack actions.
it's not like where I complained about Degenesis not having way too much and not doing enough with it. This is how many things can we slap together on a page and then just kind of let you do the rest of it. This is bad toolkit.
So they are stealing from Power by the Apocalypse.
Yeah. All right, pack actions because holy shit. This is like Kingmaker but crap.
So I guess there are
Well,
various things
it's
that you
not
can.
crap, it's just very mediocre.
It's team actions that you can do. Like they give guarding local human environmental activists, such as taking down a whaling ship in the North Pacific, hunting poachers in India, Zimbabwe, and Texas, protesting a pipeline in North Dakota. Hey, ain't that relevant nowadays?
And the best
Uh,
part is this book came out in 2024.
That pipeline's been made.
Wah,
Actually, I think there
wah,
are still protests,
wah.
but regardless. Kidnapping a local politician.
I mean, that's something werewolves can do. I mean, like I said, they are more than willing to do some horrible fucking things to save the earth. I'm not against them doing something like the Symbionese Liberation Front. Let's be fair, that's something they would probably do.
I do like the line, "Congratulations, you have a fundamentalist politician strapped to a chair in your aunt's B&B. Now it's time to expose his corruption, state your demands, negotiate his release, and hope to Luna, not Gaia, Luna, the vacation rental won't get booked.
Why are they venerating the moon over Gaia, the nature spirit that basically is their creator and her soldiers?
You know, well, again, the god is dead, so it's time to embrace a new god, the moon
Fair
present.
enough. It's just kind of weird,
Wait,
especially
wait.
since there's a book that does that too, and it's not just Glorantha.
I don't think they're ripping off. I think they're ripping off Bloodborne.
Yeah, that this is just
It has
fucked.
wolves. It has the moon. I don't get where the political stuff comes from. Not really environmentalist message in that game, but still. There's an action you could do to just blow it all up. Actually, very werewolf.
Yeah, that's something that you usually do when either things go fall apart. In an ideal game, this is what you do when things fall apart. But if you're going full Soldiers of Gaia, just fuck it, do this.
So they give us all these various actions you can do, and then next up, I believe, are various
Oh,
rights
no, no,
after
no.
a.
There's something I want to point out. Claiming and securing your territory. You're the watchers and guardians of their territory. By claiming an area, you take responsibility for it. So secure it and get to know. That's weird because I remember another book that does that. Make peace with the spirits to strengthen your connection to the light. That's really weird. Huh.
I think there's a Rifts book about it.
Maybe.
You can
Hopefully the
then.
paradox won't be too severe. Erases Paradox Interactive from existence. Well, given that the people who pushed these books and who pushed Bloodlines 2 got fired from the company and ejected, uh, we might see a completely different change in how they handle this. We don't know. But yeah, you can call a moot. What's a moot? I don't know.
Isn't that a gathering of the leaders of Skyrim to
I,
decide who will be the next High King?
I thought it was when you gathered the giant tree monsters to talk about things, and it takes like 8 years because that's how slow their language is. Like it takes a day for them just to say hello. That's what I remember for a moot.
Hmm.
Now, in fairness, the concept of getting a different group of pacts like Septs and Karens to meet together in moots are fine, and I think that's an actual thing that already exists. We're just kind of having a bit of fun here. I will say that the very basic preparations and complications and actions, this is kind of trying to be a storyteller's guide, but they're not giving enough tooltips and help to the guide.
Well, they do end up giving an example of apparently a pack specifically in South Chicago.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
boy, I hope they're in Inglewood.
so we're gonna skip past sabotaging infrastructure and stuff.
Well, because honestly to me that's the same thing as blowing up stuff.
Fair enough. I'll just merely state that there's a reason I suggested the storyteller's. I think it was called the Storyteller's Handbook. Oh wait, what was it? Storyteller's Companion. That's what it was. Werewolf Storyteller's Companion Revised Edition because it does the same thing, but it does it in half the page length, and I think it does it a bit better. By the way, this entire section is a waste of white space. I don't like it. The written hand scribbling is not very easy to read. Like, legitimately, this is pretty bad.
But our next section is
Look at this shit.
Among Wolves, which is
Here's
basically
more giving up. Here's more giving up on trying with art.
as they're running a maintaining a car while handling the head of some beast.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
But they give us various examples of sept grievances. Strife trides ancient divisions by pointing to the year 1997. which, yeah, in terms of Garou, is ancient.
That's really stupid.
Uh, Spirit mysteries, wounded honor. They do give us, though, the how long Garou tend to live, in which case it's usually age 17 for the first change. Uh, you basically get, over the next few years, major successes. Age 21, you were a sole survivor of a pack. You then train people up, become a uh, being named to an important office. By age 35, you're a respected elder, and by age 40, you are dead at the hands of the enemy.
Which isn't a bad way to describe how brutal and short werewolf lives are, because you are soldiers of Gaia. The problem is Gaia's dead, and it seems like they've forgotten what their purpose is.
Which that could be interesting for a meta narrative, but they kind of don't go that way.
Well, they attempt to, but then they keep borrowing from, because I know that this isn't from anything in Apocalypse. A lot of this seems to be borrowed from another book.
Well,
Where
you are talking about them having lore going back decades and everything. Maybe we're talking about Traveler and its issues with its editions.
maybe.
Maybe that's what they're stealing from.
Here's an entire other waste of page. Notice that to stretch out the book period, the book length to kind of meet page count, they're just kind of stretching things like this. Oh God, no, no, I want to read some of this because it's full basic death cult environmentalism. I was at a moot with a guy, first girl, and the one who's on nearly all the rage, just failed to see why. She kept berating us about working with humans to help Gaia fighting the war. She was pleading. It was terrible. I believe all those things too, but why she have to be so strident about it? The 60s ended over 50 years ago. We're all about the end times now, the planet and its destruction. Yeah, yeah, nice.
The end times are coming. Burn it all.
Ignore that the end times happened like fucking 20 years ago, dumbass.
Do like this. You know what she did at the end? She hit us up for money for her stupid human organization. What could I do? She put me on the spot. I was the only silver thing there. Always a mistake, incidentally. Always a mistake. Anyway, I had to make a show of giving her more than anyone else. Anything other would have been an insult to our tribe's honor.
I straight up love that they're going with this flavor of environmentalism. Well, the one that's also most likely to be owned by petrochemical companies, too, by the way. Just as a heads up, just to let you know.
Apparently, also, they've lost so much that they have no idea when the Wars of Rage happened,
Are
or
you
the Imperium.
are you fucking real?
It's yeah, it's almost like again they're forgetting their history and having to reconstruct it over time. Maybe
It's
they're ripping off Degenesis.
or maybe it's a cynical attempt to because they're hoping to get a new modern audience. Maybe they're trying to throw out the old lore so that they can get the new people in and supplant basically replace the audience they had.
Star Wars.
Yeah, but I don't know if this will work because, well, tabletop industry is pretty small and it didn't work for Star Wars exactly.
Also, the spirits are no help in understanding how much time has passed.
This is really weird. They're focusing a lot on spirits when the revised version of Werewolf that I'm familiar with, the big thing is dealing with the multi-headed monster that's this thing called Pentex group.
And let's see, Truth
This
and
is
Lies and
definitely
Star Wars.
starting to give me vibes of another book. Like it's almost like I said, they stole from another book. Maybe because they had the rights to it because the original company was forced to get rid of it.
Hmm.
It's really interesting because I do remember you mentioned Curseborn. The company that made it did have a series, but it seems to have gotten canceled earlier, like a few years ago. Hmm,
What was it called again?
no clue.
New Planet of
Oh yeah,
Oblivion?
I think they did New Planet of the Apes, right? No, no, no. It was the
Yes, that's right. They're doing the new Planet of the Apes.
yeah, yeah. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of because like some of the stuff there had the apes deal with like ghosts and stuff, and like there's these group of monsters called the ape purists or whatever.
Right. How did werewolves forget thousands of years of murder grapes? Well, without technological context, they have no idea when things happened. Because,
Oh,
one guy kills a guy, one guy murders another guy. It really doesn't matter the time period. There's no other context clues that could give you when something happened in history.
well, you see, when you year zero something, if you pull a Pol Pot and try to year zero everything, you have to get rid of all of the previous history to sell the new history.
Right? Well, no, when I'm referring to somebody as like Pompeius, Lexicanus, Alidorus, Kaiser, Julius, Germanicus, you have no idea when that time period is.
Yeah, not at all. So basic things like the time where you murder fucked so much that you made humans permanently afraid of you, like you don't remember when that was.
No one can tell you when that was. There's nothing identifying that at all in your legends.
Especially since the elders seem too busy to teach you how to fight the man rather than teach you your history as a soldier of Gaia nowadays.
Though there is one thing that apparently has been kept in the ancestral memory, the ability to howl. The Garou have abilities to howl, such as, and they in fact describe how it is.
I I really hate that this is something that they decided to waste page space on.
Woof, woof, yiff, yiff.
By the way, don't you like this Greta Thunberg looking fetal alcohol syndrome person? How dare you? How dare you draw me like this?
How dare you?
How
How
da-
dare you put me in this book?
how dare you found out that my father wrote my words for me alongside a creepy Indian man? Yeah, that's the thing about Greta. If you're wondering, she none of her opinions were her own. She was hand fed them by like some Indian man. I don't remember his name. I just remember it was her father and this guy, and they just fed her stuff on her Facebook and like in her notes. It was all pre-assembled using a child as a human shield.
Oh, you're right. There is something odd with her arm. It looks like there is a easily identifiable tattoo that would represent something of the Garou.
Yeah, interesting. It's almost aren't they
Almost like
supposed
you
to
should
be hidden?
obscure your symbols. You know, like there's a veil.
Hmm.
And then let's see, they give us various ranks and positions that you could be in.
Wait, they have these glyphs, but they don't seem to know anything about their history, even though they can write it down. Also, barring from traffic signs or hobo signs, I think that was the thing in Apocalypse, but I remember there's another book where you played a Frankenstein's monster, and they had something like this too.
Hmm.
Oh, and oh, that's interesting. Look, the Garou are half spirits now.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they're half spirits now. There, there was a book that did that with werewolves being half spirits. If only I could remember the name. If only I could remember that name of that book.
You know what? It has to be from Elder Scrolls. Remember, because werewolves are connected to the various Daedric princes.
True, true. Maybe they're descended from Hercene. Maybe they got the rights to Hercene when they did the reshuffling of 5th edition. Maybe that's what the moon is. Maybe the moon's Hercene.
Hmm.
Oh, no, no. I can understand their history being warped and degenesis a little bit. But the
But
problem I have with it is that you compare that to anything in Revised and in 20th Anniversary Edition, and then you kind of go, there's no fucking way.
but
There's
do
no
remember,
fucking way.
the Jews have an oral tradition, or had, and they managed to keep a lot of that memory intact. Not specifically the dates, but they could tell a progression of time.
You know, another example, the Samaritans, despite being reduced to only about 1,000 people, still remember their history just as damn well because they descended from the Jews as well.
But obviously, because they don't have technology, how can they remember things? Those silly people.
Yeah, it's almost like they can't remember nothing unless they can write it down. What talking? What's that? Even though we're talking about talking in this section. Oh, question from Percival. I've already played Hunter the Vigil and Vampire Requiem. I want to try Werewolf the Forsaken. Any suggestions or tips? The thing I would really recommend is you always kind of have to start a bit small. And with Werewolf, you have to really figure out what angle you want to play at. Do you want to play them as if they're Border Spirit Patrol, because that's one of their things? Or you have to play it like, or are you going to go where they fight against the Pure? Because there's a opposing tribe of werewolves that disagree and want them all dead. Do you want to play it like werewolf on werewolf violence, or do you want to play it elsewhere, like in a different way? Because there's a couple of ways you can play this. Do you want to play them as werewolves struggling to hold back their desire to eat the flesh of humans, because that is something that they have a drive to? That they do have a drive for that, because wolf has to hunt. It really, come up with a concept first where you want to angle the way of your werewolves. Do you want to focus on more spirit stuff or more meat space stuff? And then from there, I would probably figure out what you would do from there. I'm more of an on the fly kind of guy. What I like to do is I kind of just take. You can take and borrow from other stuff. Like you can take and borrow from, say, Apocalypse, or you can take and borrow from, well, Forsaken. Forsaken gives you some good ideas for adventure hooks.
You use history stuff.
Oh, by the way, one last rule. Be very careful about your player base if you're getting new randoms. Werewolf player bases tend to be the most degenerate motherfuckers besides the original Changeling crew. Because the original Changeling in World of Darkness is some of the most freaky shit that you'll see. The warriors, but with werewolves. Yeah, you can do that. You could totally do that. And you can have it be that they're essentially. You could have them going on
they're
a
at like
turf
a
war with other werewolves.
yeah, yeah, that would actually work very well.
Yeah, you could have it take place in, like, say, Harlem or Detroit during the decline, or in Albuquerque. You could have it be like their war, or in LA. You could have them war with
Well,
other tribes
well,
based
actually,
on.
we did talk about what was it? The one of the settings for Chronicles of Darkness for the Dark Ages was New York in the 70s playing as werewolves.
Yeah, you can totally do that. You could actually have them fight the mafia, where they're basically trying to keep their hold on their turf and territory, because the mafia are trying to redevelop it using corrupt real estate. You could do something like that, and I think that'd be pretty fun. You can also play, if you want to play with the spirit world, you can also have them trying to protect this territory, because if the mafia rip it up, it'll unleash a particularly powerful spirit from, like, the 1920s or whatever.
Though if you are talking about the Spear World and everything, probably actually Werewolf 5th Edition would be good. Because that seems to have the same thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting that Forsaken and 5th edition have the same emphasis on ghosts and spirits, because spirits are not necessarily ghosts. Ghosts used to be human, spirits are, well, entities based on location or concept or memory.
Though speaking of as humans, there's kin. They have a little sidebar for the kin of what they are towards various tribes.
Oh, if you're wondering, originally the kin were thrown out in Werewolf 5th edition, but I think what happened was the degenerate players got very angry that they could not abuse and propagate with their kin like they used to. I'm sorry, Werewolf the Apocalypse players, in my experience, tend to be like some of the shittiest players that you can work with. You really have to be selective on who you bring in.
What you don't want to hear my descriptions about how my bulky, muscling werewolf form lusting after the you know
Oh, do
wolf-born
you really want to
in war form?
go with that? Okay, here's my rebuttal to that. What do you mean you don't want to hear about how my red Talon went into the local zoo to bang the entire pack of wolves there?
My red Talon's got a red rocket, and he needs to rock it.
There you go. That's the type of player base you would get with Apocalypse sometimes. It was most common among Red Talon players. You would also see them somewhat among Black Furies. Black Furies tended to be the most goth girlish girl power sort of thing that would basically have an army of simps, from what I remember. No offense, Werewolf the Apocalypse players, but that's like my experience of dealing with the average player base back in the day when I actually did play by post games of this. Oh, and mage players were completely insufferable assholes. They would hijack everything with the Paradigm War. God damn it. Like, you could
Though
talk
I do,
about the World of Darkness and they would just do that.
though I do like Cyanide's option. Kind should only lay with kin through a hole in a sheet. Very halakhic. But let's see. They give us descriptions of how you would deal with humans, and then various opinions on the Shattered Nation, with more space taken up by text.
Look at this waste of white space.
Just swapping between red and green without any understanding of what differentiates the two.
Well, at least on the bright side, they're using fonts that are actually a lot more readable rather than their fake attempt at doing written word. By the way, the Red Talons, I will say this, the Red Talons actually have the potential to be very interesting. It's just the way they are written, they should have fallen ages ago. And on top of that, it is the player base that ruins them. Because the concept is they are coming at this from a non-human perspective. They are coming from wolf perspective. They are coming from like a dog trying to understand how to human, which can be really fun and interesting. They fucked that up.
I
Like
do like
I
though the
shit on
last
Red
human,
Talons, but that's mainly just because of their player base. The tribe is fine if you do it right.
the opinions of Jonas Albrecht. We don't understand what we lost. My beautiful, perfect realm, the
My
Garou
perfect
Nation.
magical realm.
Why did these traitors in the cult of Fenris think they could do it better without us? Why don't these young cubs understand the value of tradition?
Is Jonas supposed to be a crybaby? Because that's pretty whiny.
I mean, look at him. He looks like Jake Skywalker.
Oh, do you think that might be why they're doing it? Like he originally was a badass, and they're turning him into like
Well, no, he
this
was. He
punished.
was. I believe in the lore, he was outright like the leader of the New York or like the werewolves.
Oh, like he was the head of the Sept or Cairn.
Yeah, and I believe in several of the end plots he was uh fundamental. I think in the end times.
Oh, so what happened is the writers decided to buck break him and turn him into the broken, pathetic, dying old man cuckold that they've done for every legacy male character from the 80s and 90s.
I mean, I will be honest. If he's supposed to be like in his 60s,
I mean,
one, he should be dead.
having him despair over the nation shattering, I can understand, but they wrote him like a crybaby. This is something I would have seen in the aftermath of an election or something on Twitter. Like just replace like the words with the specifics, like America is ruined because Orange Man or insert new politician here won. That's what I'm reading here, and it's really fucking embarrassing. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering what the Heart Wardens are, they used to be known as the Fiana. They were drunken Irish werewolves, and then they became really fucking boring and terrible. Just for those wondering. Uh,
What do vampires have to do with eco-tourism?
what do
A
werewolves
lot
do?
in this setting. This is
So okay,
this is Captain
industri
Captain Planet with the gloves off.
Okay, so
Because
essentially, the industrialization damages the environment. The environment is an aspect of the growth aspect of the triad, Gaia, the grower. It destroys that, it damages that, and it has gotten a lot worse because the entity of decay and entropy, the wyrm, has gotten into the basically hearts and minds of the most powerful conglomerates in the world. Originally, Pentex was a conspiracy theory among Garou in the first edition. They then became the main antagonists in second. And you can argue that them de-escalating Pentex is them trying to go back to their first edition roots, where it's more of a conspiracy theory. But the problem is they're borrowing from another book, and they've de-escalated them to like fourth tier. They've also made them, instead of being direct apostles of the wyrm, servants of the fucking fly totem, which is a massive downgrade. That making the Weaver the actual antagonist would have been the better choice, I think.
yeah, I think because
Rather
I
than
think I point
ripping
out
off some book that the guys who made Curseborn did. I think it would have been better.
because you could argue that there's this tendency right now to like maintain some sort of stasis don't rock the boat, don't
Yeah,
really
nothing
change
ever
society.
Imagine a fallen glasswalker who is the epitomous chud. Nothing ever happens. Like,
Just
imagine that.
more complex, you know, technological interventions in society, more interconnectivity to the point where if you're not online, do you even really exist?
By the way, the reason we're skipping over touchstones is that is legitimately straight up fucking stolen from the Chronicles of Darkness.
Oh,
They have
oh,
touchstones which hold their insanity. They literally just
holy
stole
crap,
all
you're
of the
right. They're not
mechanisms.
just stealing it from Werewolf the Forsaken, they steal it from fucking everything.
They literally stole after Paradox. We're revealing it full on. We're done with the gag. Paradox shuttered the Chronicles of Darkness just so the fuckers at White Wolf could steal once again from the alumni of White Wolf itself to staple their flesh on it like a skinwalker. This is legitimately stealing the mechanisms and mechanics. Oh, thanks for doing all the hard work, through the New World of Darkness and Chronicles era. Well, thanks for that, buddy. Let's just take it from you wholesale. Fuck you. Get out.
And now they're making their own version.
Which is a million times worse. And this is why Paradox Interactive is the devil to work with if you're not an employee of them. They will treat you like shit if you're a contractor. They're fucking horrible. They're great to their employees. They're just terrible to anyone that's not their employees. Oh yeah, I call it skinwalking because what they do is they'll take an IP and basically just like murder it in Buffalo Bill wear its skin, going, "Look, it's still the thing you love. Why don't you love me? You're evil for not loving me." They say as
Here,
they're
we're
wearing
taking
the
all
flesh of their lover.
we're taking all the stuff that you used to like and repackaging it in a shittier quality and version.
By the way, effeminate black man, just standard modern day.
Is that really just more of a business type with
No, they're going for Urkel because look at the style of glasses. Look at his non-posture, non-threatening posture.
yeah,
It's an Urkel. It's an attempt to Urkelify them.
they give us some other examples of Garou, little sister, a children of Gaia Theurge.
That's also fetal alcohol syndrome. Look at the eye spacing.
Well, she is from Western Illinois.
She also has like mildly webbed fingers. Can the writers be any less creative? Here's the best part. They're paid decently well to fail at doing basic things that you can do in a homebrew setting. That is why I, Adam, will state that it is extremely easy to get into the tabletop industry. All you have to do is actually publish your homebrew, you finalize it, you package it, and then the only thing you really have to worry about is inevitably when things turn into virtual tabletop, basically things like Foundry and stuff. That'll be where the bar of entry starts getting harder. But as of right now, odds are pretty good. You could probably outright half the fucking writers in current companies nowadays. That's how fucking terrible they are. So let's see how these yuppies understand working class. Let's see. She was bullied and ostracized. First became a werewolf. She legitimately committed a mass shooting, essentially, in her
Well, she
rage.
murdered a bunch of children.
Yep.
Uh, um, because of her background, she doesn't have a viable human identity anymore. I think that's just because she just went off the grid.
Well, no, she also killed like a dozen girls. She is a spree killer. She is a school shooter, essentially.
Travels a homeless teenager across the American Midwest,
But you're
found
supposed to
other
feel bad for her,
werewolves.
by the way. Don't get me wrong.
I
First
mean,
changes are pretty tragic like that. Like, let's be. I'm not. I'm being a bit mean on this, but this is genuinely a tragedy. It's framed so badly. Did this new game sell well? I don't know. It probably sold decently.
I think they're making more books for it, so it did sell. The
Yeah,
next
but
up
I
is
also know that White Wolf stocks are kind of dwindling. Like they're not doing as well as they did previously.
the next thing up is two Shadowlord Aruna, I believe from Hungary. You know, where I think they're originally from. Then there's Dominique Death in a Word Omar, aka the gayest black man to ever live.
Before we do though, let's just make. I'm gonna make fun. So the Hungarian man adopted, literally, again, adoption fetished two identical looking people as twins. They literally he literally casting couched based on looks for these two. They are legitimately fake. They are fake and established essentially as PR. They even made up stuff. He like made up their backstory, which could
I
be
mean,
interesting, where they're all
it is a
fucking talk and no walk. That could be
it
interesting.
it is a Shadow Lord.
It is a Shadow Lord. It's just it really sells a certain. Oh, look at this atrocity. Look at this monstrosity. This isn't really selling. This isn't really helping the gelding of African American identity. This is what they actually think hipsters look like nowadays, I guess. I don't fucking know. Who designed these characters and why do I feel like they need to be fired?
Let's see. Why? Um,
I think they should be fired.
it is it
Whoever's
is a
the art asset
it
guy.
is a Ragabash. It says as a deeply unserious person. Oh, trust fund twink.
Oh my god.
He was getting pounded in the back. So his motivations as new tribe mates are
But by
obvious.
the
They
way, his
wanted to.
first change was with other werewolves, so they were having horrendously gay werewolf violent sex, I guess, during his first change. I don't know. By the way, they're doing this because old werewolf very much did not like the LGBT whatever, specifically because the entire thing was procreation. They threw that out, obviously. Hey, look, this is what the fiana devolved into. Look at that fucking foreshortening on this leg that doesn't look right at all. Look,
Born,
it's like
yeah,
a pastiche of shit.
he was born in Tokyo.
Is he a Métis? Because he looks like a fucking Métis.
I don't know. He
Either
what?
that or the artist is just that terrible.
And let's.
Do you think their wolf form has rainbow fur? No, he dyes it. He dyes his Krynos form. He just fucking
Then
dyes it.
again, that would be. I would actually find that very funny.
I mean, yeah, that'd be great. I don't mind camp, but you have to play with it.
It's
You have to be in on the joke.
they're a Mad Max biker gang. They are the gay boy berserkers. Apparently, though, this guy transformed
Oh, you're right. He's
during.
Irish. He's a heart
Yeah,
warden, aka the actual Fianna, before they were
yeah.
ruined.
He was at a musical gig, and then he transformed. He woke up in a holding cell, having been arrested for wandering naked in the streets of Tokyo.
How many people did he kill?
They were just injured, just injured.
They were just what a bunch of pussies. Do you know? So okay, this girl killed all of her bullies, right? And they actually tried and attempted to make her feel bad. Look at how the other ones are just trying to avoid the body counts that they should have fucking laid down during their first change, given how they were in public spaces. What a bunch of fucking pussies. What a bunch of bitches. What a bunch of little fucking cowards. This man should have a body count in at least the double digits by the time he's done.
He should have been arrested for murder.
Oh, you see, they emasculated the Fianna and all the other ethnic tribes, except for the Native American ones, because you can't have white ethnic tribes. The Arabian man who was hired on as the cultural sensitivity advisor for White Wolf during this time didn't want that. Although, in fairness, this was because they were trying to copy Chronicles of Darkness, where they tried to make all of the tribes immutable, kind of not necessarily blobby, but applicable everywhere.
But then the next one is Low Growl, a Mexican wolf, as in she legitimately is wolf-born.
Okay.
Uh, she was hunted by drunken soldiers in the Mexican countryside. When she changed, she found she was able to understand the problem she was facing in a completely new way. Makes sense because she could now be human. Almost died on a mission, which uh, she realized no wolf should go alone, and not even a silent strider. Humbled by her failure, she fell with a pack and soon succeeded in passing their rite of passage, part of a wolf family.
I like how this is I like how this is more of a red talon than the actual red talon in this one will be.
And they give us various septs, or like the size of the sept, where they are, how they function.
Which again is more toolkitting. This is again them borrowing without really understanding how the Chronicles of Darkness handled toolkitting.
Again, being options to be a moon cult.
Oh, by the way, here's the astronaut lady who became a werewolf in the moon.
Yes, we'll get to that.
Oh, they show her art here too.
Yeah. They'll, they do give us examples of various septs, like a
Yeah, because they
sept
go into
in,
details about all of
yeah,
these.
Appalachia, Italian sept.
By the way, the
Uh,
way they handle the creation of septs here are fucking terrible. They don't really go like they try to cram as much as they can because they wasted so many page spaces by doing all that white space wastage. Here we go. Sept of the Moon's Blessing. That's where I am.
yeah, I was just saying these are kind of just example septs they give.
Which they make up history for, but I don't understand why are they making up history for the sept if it doesn't matter because like history doesn't matter anymore.
Well, they do want to give you perhaps an example of how would this look like in like gameplay. They do give us the Sept of the North country, which contains Jonas Albrecht.
Well, no, let's see. Sept of the Water's birth. Thousands of people trying to cross from Africa to Europe have died by drowning in the Mediterranean. So the Sept Pack has two former fishing trawlers they use to attempt to rescue migrants. So they're literally enabling human trafficking from Africa to Europe. So
But the
GG,
suffering of Gaia,
GG.
which I mean, actually, that probably would
They
cause
wouldn't
some
care.
issues
They'd
with the
let them
spirit.
fucking die. They'd let them fucking
Well, it
die.
could cause issues with the spirits.
Hypothetically, but it might also enable the spirits because they just eat their ghosts.
Um, they are being it lost ships to a living coast guard and an entire Garou pack by the cult of Fenris as they believed that they were potentially allowing worm-tainted people into cult territory.
So they're turning the Get into literal fucking white nationalists too.
Well,
Okay.
of course they are. Of course they are.
By the way, the Moon Cult Dark Sun is actually stolen from Forsaken because Mother Moon, Father Wolf, and Mother Moon. They stole it from that too. Oh, and yes, the lupine-born fucking Silent Strider has decided to dress like the modern day Karen with the fucking side shaved haircut painted tapioca pink. The thing that, the wolf that doesn't want to look like a human decides to dress like a human and style themselves as a modern day human.
Mm.
Are these guys trying to restart the werewolf grape empire with human trafficking? Yeah, they are. That's what I'm going with. The getter and the right, they're trying to stop it.
And let's see, the Sept of the North country. Well, I guess like Albrecht's doing the same thing as well. He has an 18-year-old Lebanese teenager from New York that was pretty much brought into the pack and given a new name. She has no idea why.
I love how he adopted he adopted her because we gotta divorce ourselves from the weird It's weird that they're trying so hard to divorce themselves from the sexual shit, and then they keep going. Okay, you can have your sexual shit, but here's our adoption fetish. Here's our found family. It's all about found family.
Well, in this case, it's well also the tags of I believe kidnapping. Do we consider this mind breaking?
This is Symbionese this is Symbionese Liberation Army doing to that millionaire girl.
What was it, no, not Sharon Tate.
No, that was the Manson family.
The Manson. Patty Hearst. That's what
Patty
it is.
Hearst. Yeah, this is just basically Jonas has gone full Symbionese Liberation Army, and I guess Joseph Fritzl to this poor girl.
Oh no.
There you go.
Oh no.
You know the worst thing
It,
is that is something werewolves have the capacity of doing.
let's see. There is
The
Sept of
pack
the
must
bit.
replenish after all.
The Sept of the Bitter Frost,
These read
which is
more
the
like
cult of
these
Fenris,
sound more like courts.
and they're Canadian.
These sound more like courts of like the Fae. This is like borrowing from the Fae in terms of how they're writing this.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Look at the. Oh my God! Look at how trash this photoshopping effort is. Look at how lazy their art is here. They just put two really blurry fucking. My fucking streams have the same amount of effort in terms of collating and blending this shit than this does, and I don't put no effort at all in the fucking image assets that we use. Look at that. Less effort than we fucking do. Jesus goddamn Christ.
Oh, I do like how they
Less
describe
effort. Holy
the
shit.
characters. Atticus Reed, uh, his desire to control led to crimes that got him exiled from his original sept. Came north, became the cult of Fenris, and became the small town sheriff.
Because
He has an uncompromised.
we gotta do an all cops are bastard narrative.
Well, this is the cult of Fenris. The other one, Julia, though, uh, she has a habit of shooting herself in the arm or hand. When this happens, Atticus Reed grabs her gun and hits her on the head with the butt, confiscating the weapon for the rest of the day. Julia's specialty is suicide bombing. So far, she's survived 4 attacks.
What?
She wants to die for the glory of the emperor. I mean, not the emperor. I mean, for the Alpha. I'm sorry. I mean for Fenris.
I like how they're going the most basic bitch take on
I
the
mean for
get.
Ulrich.
By the way, this also proves they don't really understand how the get think because they value personal strength. The dark irony is her doing that, her attempting to blow herself up, that actually would fit sort of in a get setup in the sense that she's proving she's so hardcore she can survive getting grenaded, right? If they play it up like that, that'd be something. I
And
don't know.
let's
I just hate
yeah.
this. Cleansing the weak. Like this is just the stupid sensitivity director that really hates Germans, like screaming at them to make them as evil as possible. And the thing is, he's doing an okay job, I guess. It's just really you're
What are they
gonna
gonna do
try to
next?
make these the bad guys compared to the Red Talons who have the AIDS dog?
I guess we're gonna have to go full throttle. Werewolf death camps.
I'm not even kidding. Remember how in the 5th edition book the example they have of a red talon is a wolf that legitimately goes around to spread essentially as many diseases as they can to humans. Literal
And
fucking worm
somehow,
shit.
somehow, despite it being disease, not worm tainted.
Oh no, don't worry. We'll get into that. We're about halfway through this pile of ass.
Yeah. They give us then the example of great hunts, which uh, seem to be um, speaking of various historical events and recreating them or honoring them.
It's
I'm
really
kind of
funny they're trying to add culture, but because they're terrified of actually adding cultural references, the best they can do is generic gray slop, so they can't even arrange it based on actual regions.
they do give us though famous great hunts such as the War of Rage, the Storm Eater, which was a war in the American West in the 19th century. Oh, hi, Werewolf Wild West.
But by the way, my favorite thing is using the War of Rage as the example because that's the one where they kill all of the. That's literally okay. That is them actually forgetting that the Garou were in the wrong there for killing the other shifters. These fucking morons don't even. I
They also have no idea when it happened. It could have happened in the Middle Ages.
So here's something that this tells me. They actually, in a dark and ironic sense, this is almost as if I myself wrote Werewolf 5th edition with nothing but contempt and wanting to make it like Forsaken. Because
Oh
much
no!
like the
Oh,
creators, I like Werewolf the Forsaken more than I do Apocalypse. Unlike them, though, I'm aware of what the lore is and know that this is a big fucking mistake.
oh
This
no!
this is
It gets worse.
trash.
They talk about the Amazon War.
I mean, that's not really a great hunt. That's a war for survival. We covered Rage against the across the Amazon. It's literally a war for Gaia's survival.
It's an example of how not to do a great hunt.
Really?
By privileging foreign fighters, ignoring the needs of the locals, executing Garou accused of cowardice, and sending younger werewolves on suicide missions, it left local Garou communities in shambles.
Go fuck yourself.
How dare you, colonizers? How dare you protect our rainforest? Why don't you go fuck
Okay
yourselves?
then, sensitivity director. Go back to the Arabian Peninsula then. Because you're definitely colonizing the fuck out of these Swedish LARPers. I'm only using your logic against you. Also, Swedish LARPers, can you hand back the rights to the people from Chicago? You know, the actual people who wrote this, the Americans, because you're kind of colonizing us by doing this.
Let's see. Then they bring up the Dead Purge, which is the fight against the vampires, and
Yeah.
the Breath of Gaia. It is a new hunt. There's a hunt and a new attempt to learn from the mistakes of the Amazon and start a broad Garou uprising against Pentex and its ilk. It mostly takes place in the southern states of the U.S. for some reason, with a parallel operation in the Mediterranean and Europe. It is targeted areas where cheap, exploited labor is used in industrial farming, meatpacking plants, heavy industry, and other sectors with a significant negative impact on the
Oh,
environment and human communities.
this is them crying about migrant workers. These are them crying about like Chicanos and those who like those who hop the border. To find work because it's easier to do that. By the way, the War of Rage is I think the most insulting. The take on the Amazon War was fucking terrible, but it really does try to whitewash the Garou, which if you read the old lore, legitimately they are the ones are aware. Many of them are aware this was a mistake. God damn it.
But we need to fight for Gaia. The world's ending.
Also, the new example of the Great Hunt is them screaming about the pipeline, so I'm just skipping that crybaby shit.
I I will have to say, good name for the company, Endron International.
They really tried when they came up with that name. You really didn't have the courage to call out Exxon or to use what's the name of that scam company that went under that had a similar name?
Enron?
Yeah, why don't you just call it Enron? They're defunct. It's not like they can sue you for it.
I think someone is trying to bring them back.
Of course they are.
I think someone does have a copyright on that name.
Yeah, copyright squatters. By the way, look at this waste of fucking space. Look at this waste of fucking white space.
But now they're giving us more rights.
Graphics design is my passion. Look at this slop. God damn. All
So
right, let's do the rights.
I mean, various rights. Uh,
The best part is we haven't even gotten to what they did with the tribes, and it's gonna be so fucking funny.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe skip through these rights since they're just more abilities and things to use.
They don't even really do anything. They do like a couple of things, I guess. Yeah, it gives you like some role playing abilities to do like ooga booga rituals. Who gives a shit?
Um, page 77.
By the way, keep in mind that this is the reason I don't like this is very much more in the vein of Forsaken. Apocalypse had an attitude, and that attitude was punching a corrupt CEO into kibble because they have been cutting tuna fish with dolphin shifters. Like that is the energy of Werewolf the Apocalypse to me.
So I do find this interesting, in which the long vigil, you make to Luna and Helios.
Which is dumb, but okay. Gaia, the Weaver, fucking who cares, right?
They give us story weaving with rights. Bunch.
Look at
There's
this
one There's this
bloviating shit.
There's this one image of this woman, I think, getting high off of herbs
I guess
on page 80.
either that or they're depicting like werewolf degeneracy again. I don't know, and I don't really care. Anyway, here's your average
That's what a wolf
Detroiter.
tongue feels like.
Here's your average Detroiter about to overdose and die on fentanyl. Very cool, very cool, very stunning and brave artists.
There's somebody going through the first change.
Yeah, the snake picture is pretty good. How do we feel about Curseborn? It'd have to come out first for us to really have a full opinion on it. I probably would like it. It depends on how they really try to get around the ban they have on using any of the stuff they created. They still really need to make a Mortals set up an arrangement for Curseborn for it to, I think, really hit off. You know,
Okay, there's a bit here talking about the right of the blood red moon, demanding a redeclaration of war, a second commencement of an original species-wide war that your generation has almost obliviated. Guess it comes down hard to us hating the monkeys for killing mother so hard, so blind. We didn't see the literal undead worm beasts hiding inside some tight monkey skin suit.
yeah, they're really borrowing from
Time we
Forsaken.
chew dead flesh. We all know who's first. I do like would not bat an eye if I learned a solid 37.6% of climate change was due to their fucking centuries-long monkey farming schemes.
Where are you? Because I've kind of skipped all the way to the emails.
85 page.
Oh yeah,
Which
the
okay, so this
emails.
is the whole thing about using, I guess, vampire blood. Which hey, that worked out great for the mages.
Oh yeah, by the way, one of the funny things is because of how vampires work and how their blood curse works, they're essentially tied to decay. So they're essentially using the worm to fight the worm. They're not the vampires aren't like straight up affiliated directly. It's just it's so close that they're basically asking to get destroyed. There is a hypothesis. Jack Johnson has given the suggestion that this book might have been a Werewolf the Forsaken book that they just ripped from Onyx Path, or they demanded the design documents from, and just published. I don't know.
I can see that.
I
No,
could
I
see it,
can see
but
that.
I think it's just them being this untalented. I think it's just a testament to their incompetence.
But next up is running a moot.
By the way, do you like how much pages they wasted because they tried to copy the Chronicles of Darkness because this is something they did in Chronicles of Darkness. They would actually use the internet for this sort of stuff. Do you like how they wasted and fucked it up?
Yeah. Oh, I do like though the names of the emails. Presbro 200 pounds at sunburst.com and sonicpaw 420 at hushmail.net. Real original, guys.
Yeah, high quality. The Garou care more about killing humans than actually fighting the worm. That actually is not what it's about. It's literally the thing that they warn you about, and it's like a thing that they run into issues with. They're so prone to fighting that they lash without thinking. That's like literally the big thing about the apocalypse. The problem is the writers, through their incompetence and sheer failure, because I can clearly tell they were Vampire the Masquerade players who barely played, who just LARPed. They probably never touched Apocalypse, so they don't know this. That's my hypothesis. I because the way they handled anything but Vampire kind of tells me they don't understand a goddamn thing about any of the things they're writing about.
I
Either
mean, I don't
that
know
or
if
they
they're
were like
writing
me and they
them.
really liked Forsaken and they thought that Apocalypse should be more like it.
I don't think they're writing them like Vampire, but
No, they prefer Vampire the Masquerade. This is why they did a lot less damage to the lore in Vampire the Masquerade. They did a lot of damage, but like they kept it more intact than what they're doing with Werewolf and Hunter to a lesser degree.
yeah, I can see that.
As for what they did with Hunter, it's very clear that they probably understood Hunters more, not from Reckoning, but more from Hunters Hunted, because these are vampire LARPers, so they're more familiar with Hunters Hunted.
So, in organizing and running a moot,
Well, yeah, 5th edition Wolves are based more on the Aratha than they are the Garou, so that's why I'm kind of shitting on this book.
so they have you set up, the size of the moot, where it would be, the
Another
opening
wasted
howl,
page.
the various roles, holding moots within a cairn, connecting to the Umbra, doing various rites, perhaps challenges between them,
I'm gonna be blunt. The Storyteller's Companion for Werewolf did this in half the pages and was still better.
being able to do flighting, such as rap battles, dance contests, riddle duels, fiddle competitions, and political debates. 'Cause that's what werewolf's about. Rapping, yo.
Well, I mean, that's the funniest shit about that is that's actually cultural appropriation from the get. Because here's a fun get offenders concept. A rapper who is actually recreating flightings because the Norse Vikings actually had a system of insults similar to rap. Rap battles are very similar to Norse flightings. So imagine like this
Oh.
Eminem looking motherfucker who can not only insult you and your family in perfect English, but then immediately switch to Norwegian to further insult you using his language or her language,
Hmm.
using sick
Though I do,
beats and bars. That'd be fun.
hmm. They do give examples for specific and perhaps culturally or
By the way, this is going hard into politics. This is why I think these LARPing pieces of shit were mostly Vampire the Masquerade players. I say this as a person who played a lot of Vampire the Masquerade. I can
so they
recognize
give.
their style and
Hmm.
tone, and this is coming at it from, I don't like werewolves because it's more about beating the shit out of the evil corporate man, which they like. They love beating the shit out of evil corporate man. Ignore that this is a corporation owned by subsidized by another corporation to make this, and the corporation that's subsidizing them deals in electronics, one of the most despoiling fucking industries on the planet, meaning they should be violently killed by their own werewolves. But very much more political.
But they do give us examples for specific moods, such as a sit down by the Gaia First organization in the middle of the motorway.
I'm
A
just
moot.
reminded of they had a similar protest in Germany for a car company. Do you know what the owner did when they did that? Just locked them in
Uh,
there, refused to let them leave. Basically let them starve and freeze out.
let's
No
see.
one
A
helped
moot
them.
reserved.
No one acknowledged
Uh,
him. It was
uh,
great.
yeah. A moot reserved for Garou of indigenous backgrounds.
Oh, that's
Hmm.
interesting. Isn't it interesting though that they completely got rid of the two tribal werewolves that were based on Celtic and Germanic culture, Nordic culture, but they kept the Native American ones around, and they're still very much ethnic.
Hmm. Well, you could also have the Zoom moots during COVID that everyone hated.
So
When
where
you're
where
fucking
is the
wolf.
fucking moot that we're looking at?
Page 97.
Oh, I'm way ahead of you. Sorry, man. This book has some bad formatting issues. It's not as bad as Degenesis in some respects, but in
A
others it is.
a wolf-born moots in lupus form, a pride moot with Ross the She-Wolf.
I need to see this. I need to show. Oh, they even did
It,
flighting. You're
yeah,
culturally appropriating Norse cult to get a Fenris culture. What are you doing?
in Omniscient Shareholders Annual Meeting, an Elders moot, which that makes sense, and then there is a Seder moot for Jewish Garou.
Oh, it's in the ideas for specific moots. I'm sorry. I forgot it was just such a non-thought that they didn't even bother.
Now, as a Jew, I have a few questions.
Before
One,
before we do, let's go bit by bit. Sorry, chat.
uh,
Sorry, my blindness couldn't find it. The indigenous background's very funny. The Zoom moots during COVID that everyone hated is one of the worst concepts ever and really fucking dates it. Wolfborn moots in lupus form, where God, imagine being in the room. Imagine being in the room with a fucking werewolf group that does that, and they're all just barking and making fucking noises. Also, pride moots, that's really funny given werewolves up until literally 5th edition very much demanded that they don't give a shit that you swing that way. You still gotta have children. Not even kidding. That's a thing that was about werewolves for the longest of fucking times. Now we can make fun of the setter. Sorry
So,
about that.
for those of so one, I have a question of the challenge of keeping to the Jewish faith while also being a creature of pure rage and violence devoted to a clearly pantheistic deity.
Especially because remember, they're venerating the moon and sun here. Like they're getting rid of the
But
Gaia
you
aspect,
could
which if you think about it, you could at
you
least
could
homebrew Gaia to represent Adonai. You could.
yes, the concept of Takino Olam repairing the world, that could actually fit.
But they got
A
rid of that
Seder.
in this edition.
Yeah. A Seder is a particular fest or like feast festival for a holiday of Passover in which we remember when the tribes of Israel were leaving Egypt, and there's a
To
whole
remember
ritual
the
to it.
horrors and oppression that they faced. The
If
salvation
you've heard
by
of
El.
yeah, if you've heard of matzah, it's unleavened breads to remember that the Jews when they were leaving could not, heat the bread or let it rise, so they
You also
had to go
traditionally
with
had
that.
to paint your doorways with blood because it represented that, well, it was your
The yeah,
protection from
the
the angel of death coming down to take the firstborn away.
yeah. But this is all a single event that happens once a year.
And it's the biggest holiday in Judaic culture.
Uh,
One of the
one of
biggest.
them, one of the biggest.
Well, the other ones are Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, if I remember right.
Yep, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Um,
Yeah, that's the thing. Hanukkah is not that big a deal by comparison.
yeah, it is. It is not
It's only done by
mostly
marketing
because market. M-
because
well,
it's
actually,
around
was
Christmas time. That's why.
yeah. There's a whole history to it, but um, the issue
A
for me is the
Seder
fact
moot
that
would
it's
be
a
like yearly. God, imagine like all the elders being dead because they fought like spirits in like the Get. So it'd be like an entirely new group of elders having to run the Seder
yeah.
each year.
The the issue though is if it a seder is just once a year, and I would argue that the rituals and everything take more precedent than meetings, you know, like meetings that would be conducted through a moot. You could have replaced this with one word, Shabbat.
Oh
And
yeah,
Shabbat is the weekly, day of rest. Usually, what people do is they will prepare food beforehand. Have the prayers, that sort of stuff. But then afterwards, depending on when the sun goes down, and that can be another thing with the werewolves is with the whole moon. Then you could have everyone together, and while they are doing the prayers, whatever, afterwards, while they're eating, conduct the moot, and and it will last for an entire day because that's when everything is settled. That's the whole day of rest.
see that would be interesting. A Shabbat moot. There's a lot of things they could have done. It's one of the reasons why I think a werewolf group based around communities that rely heavily on pacifism, like Jaina Dharma, like Jainists or Amish could be fun. But you have to understand the religion of the former to incorporate the faith and beliefs of the latter. Werewolves being Judaic could make sense if you represent it via Gaia. They butt-fucked that in favor of Luna and Helios. They invoke other spirits. They're committing witchcraft, essentially, which is punishable by death, at least in the old
Yep.
Torah.
Yep.
Whoopsie doopsie. Now, thankfully, they are against necromancy, so that's at least something on their side.
Yeah. Although they do give examples for other parties, such as the party after a fertility ritual may be a beautiful orgy.
Of course, they come immediately to
Of
sex.
course. Yes. I mean, it is a fertility ritual, but this is werewolf we're talking about.
Imagine after the Sedar, they just immediately start banging, like after the Passover dinner. One of them's just like, all right, assume the position on the fucking
Oh.
table.
Someone gets their dick stuck in the maror and it burns. It's a bitter herb.
I'm just now envisioning like immediately after this Passover dinner, you're seeing like the Jewish werewolves doing lines of fucking coke before the
There,
orgy
there,
begins.
there's a ritual in which um, you hide a piece of the matzah bread. It's called an afikomen. They're just fucking and they're just laying down. They knock something over. It's like found the afikomen.
You then throw the tablecloth with the hole sewn into it, so that you can
Yeah.
do it the proper way.
Oh god. Oh, no.
Oh, you think that's cursed? Imagine this with the Mooncake Festival of the Chinese New Year.
Oh.
Don't you like how they see
Oh,
page 137? They
yeah,
put more thought
and a
into that than they did the Jewish one.
and a midsummer.
What?
Hopefully not like the movie. Otherwise, that's a cult of Fenris doing it. I also do like when they talk about the food at moots, they go out of their way to talk about the various dietary preferences. Halal, FODMAP, kosher, low carb, vegan. You're werewolves.
You literally have to eat, like, you're literally driven to eat flesh. I'm sorry, but that doesn't make no sense.
I I want to move on because that
I find it really funny they're trying to toolkit it, but they're just not doing it right. Because here's the thing, Chronicles of Darkness, they would have they if they did the Cedar Moot or the Shabbat Moot like you mentioned, they would have done like an example of that. They would have shown it. They would have like first you would have had the tribe show up, and you'd be like they'd have to figure out if they have minion first, like they have to do that,
you're right. Yeah,
and then
which that can be difficult. Oh no,
they do the prayer right as the sun
I
sets
have.
and the moon rises.
Well, actually, there's a few things. One, werewolves can heal very well, and they shift from form. How do you perform the bris?
Well, I mean that probably stuck originally.
Not good.
Or alternatively, they have a Nubris based on their first change where they have to basically get held down by the other wolves and get basically their equivalent to it.
Snip, snip. Um, the other thing that I just came in my mind would be the leader is a rabbi, but he is a wolf-born rabbi. Yes, somehow raised Jewish, let's say, yet he does conduct his sermons through howling. Not Hebrew, howling.
I kind of like that idea where it's like what
I
happens is they are a convert, like a genuine convert, because maybe when they did their first change and they're staggering around as a confused human, a rabbi took them in and taught them how to and taught them sympathy and kindness and like life. You could do something really fun with that.
I am just imagining though a wolf with a kippah and a talit just
No, no, no.
walking
I'm
through the
just
forest.
like they're holding the reading, the mystical pointing thing you use
Yeah.
in their teeth, and they like have to tilt their head.
Oh my god, that's
Imagine the art of
actually
it. That'd be cute.
hilarious.
That'd be
That is
cute.
hilarious.
It'd be great. You could totally do something really fun with it, and they just don't. Like, these are things you could do with this, and they don't do anything with it. Like, this is the toolkit that doesn't really give you enough to toolkit.
White Wolf, I would buy an entire slab if you give me, here's a Jewish pack,
Or,
and
or
just go
like, or
crazy with it.
yeah, like ideas of moots. Like, you have another one for Islam, one for Christianity, one for Jaina. I would love to see them try to do a pacifist Jaina Dharma werewolf pack, where they have to try to rationalize their fury and rage, and trying to channel it into more positive means. That could be really fun. Moots around the world. Yeah,
Oh, that'd
fun's
be
not
great.
allowed. Fun's not allowed.
No.
Just steal from other people who do things better than you, and scold you into being better. Better being what they think is better. Look at this waste of white space, by the way. Look at this fucking waste of white space. High quality. Full fucking third.
They give us the various stories at the moots, failed moots, legendary rites, which I guess is to it be a lived, embodied experience where they take on the roles of key figures. So you're LARPing.
I don't. I like where they're going with throwing the businessman into the poop river. I like where they're going with it, but he
By the way,
should be screaming.
I believe that businessman is supposed to be an Indian because this is, I believe that is Ross the She-Wolf fighting against Union Bromide Chemical Company as they operate a pesticide plant in the city of Nagpur, India.
You know the funniest
So,
thing about that, by the way? Oh god, we're actually doing this?
yep.
Okay, so before we start shitting on this, this is an actual historical disaster. Union Bromide actually had one of the greatest chemical leaks in history.
Wait, this is?
This is a real event that actually fucking happened.
Damn it, White Wolf, you did it again!
Yes,
Why?
this is based on a severe chemical leakage that actually happened. It's the same company, by the way. I believe the location is different. It might not be. And the best part is it's not an Indian native werewolf doing it. They had to get the random werewolf that can randomly change genders whenever they fucking want to do it. So it's not even like the natives getting revenge on the colonizers, like the corrupt Englishmen or the corrupt Americans that are fucking them over. This is a savior from another fucking country saving these people because they're too stupid and unable to do it themselves. By their own fucking logic. It's actually a helpful Garou saving a depressed kin from jumping in. That'd be great. That'd actually be fun. But no,
Yeah.
no.
Then give us an example of the Storm Eater. Then the quest for the Silver Crown, in which a legend of the Black Spiral Dancers murdering Queen Morningkill and Lord Arcady.
By the way,
This,
Queen Morningkill, that's a retcon.
so apparently it is supposed to be a man. Uh, King Morningkill, I believe, is the father of Jonas Albrecht. Though when Dominic Death in a Word decides that it's a queen, someone points out that it was a king and says, "Who's running this right? You or me?"
Yeah.
You. That's right. If I make her into a queen, she'll be a queen.
So literally, they're defiling their own history. Legitimately, they're legitimately defiling their own history, which is something the spirits definitely would not like. And also, yes, you're correct. The changing genders is from Forsaken. That was a power stolen from Werewolf the Forsaken.
Thank you, Dark Sun, for helping us tally up another thing they stole.
And the reason they did that was specifically so that they can have their fantasies. That way they can change whenever they want. But yeah, legitimately they have committed vandalism of their own history, which is in a way very worm inspired. No wonder they get one to kill them.
Then they give us more wasted space of the right notes from the Red Talons.
By the way, they made Jonas fail. That's why he's the weak crybaby bitch. He's like, everything went to shit. I want to be dead. I want to be buried in the ground. Kill me. I'm an old white man. Kill me. Kill
I
me and
failed.
replace me with a more diverse character for the modern audiences. Kill me and take my flesh and wear it upon my face so that you can pretend to be hip with the kids and still care about our product.
Our next section, though, is speaking with the enemy.
By the way, keep in mind that I'm not even that big of a fan of the Apocalypse. It's just this is such a desecration of the IP. It's actually fucking hilarious.
They last Jedi'd it.
Yeah, this is about on par with the Last Jedi. Yeah, was the wolf getting petted? Yeah, it was.
So they then give us how Garou society deals with the enemy.
Translation: this is where they steal from Forsaken and try to force its backstory into Apocalypse so they can just steal it wholesale later on.
So with the Black Spiral Dancers, they are ideologically incompatible with the Garou. Their
That's
eyes
a
were
that's a blunt way. That's a kind way of saying what they are.
any chance at restoring Gaia is not only impossible, it's selfish.
No,
Well, that's their truth that they learned.
no. The truth that they learned is being corrupted by the worm's fucking great. Join us as reality itself falls apart.
Yeah, that they say from the dancer's point of view, the servants of Gaia are embracing a rotting corpse, hoping it will reciprocate their affections. Only when the worm completes its duty can anything heal. When all returns to root, something greater springs forth.
Pretty
Scripture
sure
won't
this
give
is a load
reason,
of shit. I'm pretty
though no
sure this
join.
is a load of shit, poor man's interpretation of their actual beliefs. Because what
In turn,
actually happened is that they went into the black spiral, they did the ritual, and basically they became the werewolf equivalent of Nefandi, where they're irrevocably fucking corrupted, insane, and basically want to drag everything down to the same level as them.
some believe, though, that the Black Spiral Dancers are a tribe in Harano, a
By
kind
the
that's
way,
inverted the
Hirano is
tribe's
stolen
fighting
from
spirit.
Forsaken. So, fun fact: Werewolf the Apocalypse did not have "Wah, I'm suicidally murder sad." That's stolen from Forsaken. It's one of the two emotional states you can enter as an Aratha. The other one being the traditional rage, where you go completely ass mad. They stole this and have tried to say, "Oh no, the worm-infested crazy motherfucking psychopaths who don't have any ability to redeem themselves easily because of their sheer growing up in corruption and insanity, they're not evil, they're just sad. Moral relativism is the right way to go in this setting." They're literally trying to clean up these guys so that you can play them. They're morally relativizing them and trying to make them a potential ally. And that is one of the biggest loads of shit I have ever seen. 5e made me care about Apocalypse. Oh no, what actually happened was this was before Apocalypse I really read anything about it. What actually happened was Tech and Biggie actually tried to explain to me why Apocalypse was really cool. And then what happened was, in a dark sense of irony, I read the Get of Fenris and I went, oh, these guys are kind of neat because of the whole emphasis on strength, personal strength, either in will or in physical deeds, and the desire to basically not bully those weaker than you, but to target those who try to levy their others for their own selfish needs. I thought that was really cool. I came up with a character, and ever since then, I found that there is actually value in Apocalypse. They also sold it to me as Captain Planet punching out bad guys into kibble, and that also has an appeal. What 5e does is make me angry enough to really go into detail on why 5e is a catastrophe clusterfuck. Because if a guy like me, who really didn't care for the IP, can really show you where it went wrong, it's a testament to their failure. It is a
Well,
testament to their contempt for the material.
speaking of contempt for the material, is Jimmy Jones is asking a question of wouldn't Gaia dying have effect on things.
Oh yeah, the world would be basically dead. It'd be stuck
Yeah,
into an internal stasis that goes downward into a grim dark future, essentially.
but in this case, no, it just means that, well, the environment's fucked somehow.
Basically, they're
At
adopting modern day takes on environmentalism, where because the
which
warning dates have expired, because they said by this date it expired, they're basically screaming, the world is dead, without actually understanding some of the basics they could have done to remediate the environment. It's basically the environmentalism coming in and fucking this up. Oh yeah, the Stargazers left as well, because, if you
yeah.
like the Stargazers, fuck you.
So the
Because what they did with the Get was turned them into the Pure from Forsaken.
yeah.
And that's
So
literally why
with
they got rid of the Gets. It's literally
yeah.
because, much like the Brujah, they had neo-Nazis in their group. And that's the thing. They didn't kill the Brujah off, they kept them, despite having not just skinheads in their organization, but also keep in mind they're responsible for the Soviet Union, which means they're responsible for beautiful things like the Holodomor and the Doctor's Plot and the
But those
Great
were good.
Purge.
But
Oh,
those were good things.
and the many amounts of deaths that occurred in China.
But those were anti-revolutionaries. They were they were against the revolution, therefore they should be destroyed.
I wouldn't be surprised if the other reason is because they're Nordic. Because remember,
Well, no, because they're tankies. That
uh,
that would explain. But back into the Black Spiral dancers before you end up dancing the Black Spiral. So apparently, the Black Spiral dancers can often ally with a local sept because they hate the followers of the Fly.
that's
You know,
no, that's literally not. Oh God. So by this logic, all the times the Black Spiral Dancers worked with Pentex never happened.
well,
They,
it's more that
oh God.
they might ally to push these corporate followers around. Sometimes there's also escapees, those that were
That's not
forced
how
into the
this
tribe.
works.
Yep, uh, might devote
No, if you
themselves to
got
a new
forced into the
patron.
tribe, once you're down the Black Spiral, you're irrevocably insane. Now, that's not to say that there haven't been Black Spiral Dancers that have redeemed themselves. That has happened once or twice. Specifically, oh God, am I confusing? I might be confusing it with Forsaken because they're stealing so much shit from it. But there's like an area in the Umbra in the spirit world where it's basically like a waterfall of molten silver that allows you to cleanse yourself of corruption. I believe there has at least been one or two Black Spiral Dancers that actually managed to get there, but it's like really rare and it's an arduous fucking journey, and that molten silver has a good chance of killing you.
Soul Killer. So the authors. There are a bunch. I will post them in our Discord.
Oh yeah, I will show you Los Monstruosidades when we when we finish this book. But yeah, Black Spiral Dancers are more redeemable than the Get, and I guess the Stargazers too. Don't you like that? Isn't that great?
Everyone can be redeemed.
Which, don't get me wrong, everyone deserves a chance. It's just after that chance, you kind of consigned yourself to fucking ruination. It's
Except
that
for
moral relativism shit. It's their
you know,
attempts to
except
purge
no,
things.
no, everyone can be redeemed except if they're a Nazi.
No, except if they had Nazis in their organization and are not the Brujah.
So
But
we'll
actually, the
go.
Tremere should
Yeah.
also get removed because the Tremere anti-tribu had Himmler in it. Remember, House Goratrix should be gone because of that.
Yeah. So
And technically, the Malkavians should, because one of them believed he was Hermann Goring. So you got to get rid of the Malkavians too.
well, he believed he was Hermann Goring. Doesn't
Doesn't
mean he was
matter.
actually
He
Hermann
still
Goring.
tried to support him. It's almost like several clans should have been removed. Hmm.
Not from our
Oh
most
wait. Oh wait a
financially
minute.
viable
I
setting.
forgot. No, I forgot. These pieces of fucking shit are Vampire the Masquerade players. They don't want to get rid of their favorite metagaming bullshit clan because the Brujah are what you play when you want to bend the game over your fucking knee. Keep in mind, they're the ones that have both celerity and potence. That allows you to basically beat the shit out of anyone you don't like. And on top of that, they also have presence, which means you can mind control people to do what you want. It's the perfect power gaming character. They don't want to get rid of that. Especially since so many of them probably played Brujah. Fuck off.
Though
Don't get me
moving
wrong,
on
I
now,
like the Brujah, but I just, goddamn, they are the most abusable fucking clan, aside from
now
maybe Assamites.
moving on to the cult of Fenris. So they fell because they had a worldview of the Imperium did not go far enough.
This this is
The
funny
worms
because
only won because we've relented.
that's a load of shit. That's the Red Talons. That's literally the Red Talons that believed that. I'm not even kidding. There were
Wait,
elements
they
of the
do
Get
say.
who did, but that was the
Oh, wait,
Red
wait.
Talons.
Well, no, the Red Talons they actually have a criticism of this. Is that they are close to the cult ideologically. Their problem is that they're committing useless violence.
Are you fucking kidding me? The Red Talons were responsible for the War of Rage.
You know, the AIDS dog is the one who knows how they're committing correct
Yeah,
violence.
the tribe that encouraged, by the way, the War of Rage, and the ones who most were hardcore for the Imperium. Yeah, I totally believe that these guys would not be the ones that fell. Yeah, Jack, they don't care. You see, what happened was the Get of Fenris had a time where some of them were Nazis, and even though their tribe book legitimately shows an American member of the Get murdering horrifically Nazis, that comic, that's not good enough according to the sensitivity director. But it is good enough to keep the Brujah in check. It's fine. They were skinheads, but it's fine. It's
Though
fine. I play Brujah, so that means I can't get rid of them, even though they've had both Nazis and Tankies on there. And Tankies also
so,
hate the Jews. So, oh no.
oh no,
Yeah, that's the thing people forget is how anti-Semitic communism was, especially
oh
under
no.
Stalin and Brezhnev.
I now know the vampire clans that live in the West Bank and Gaza. Oh no.
Fuck this book. I will say there is at least an arguable use case. It's just I really think the Storyteller's Compendium and the Storyteller's Guide for Werewolf, both for revised editions, are better takes than this book ever could be. Because at least in the companion, it's shorter. It does the same thing that this does, but it doesn't completely butt fuck the lore in favor of their new year zero Forsaken. I've just scribbled Forsaken and replaced with Apocalypse on the fucking cover. Garbage. I love Forsaken just fine, but turning the Get of Fenris into the Pure, because this is the tribe of the Pure. Which, if you're wondering, lore-wise, the Get still believe in fighting for Gaia, right? That is the Pure arguing that the killing of Father Wolf was wrong. The Pure tribes came about because the other tribes killed Father Wolf. And they're the ones that said, no, this was wrong, and we're going to not just get rid of you, but we're going to start hunting humans. You're fucking wrong. This is dog shit. This is trash. If you like Apocalypse, this is removing what makes Apocalypse interesting. We haven't even covered, notice that throughout the entire thing, have we talked about Pentex or the evil corporations at all? Other
Once.
than once. Once. In 120 pages.
But speaking of not talking about Pentex, Stargazers.
Yeah, let's show off how they
So
absolutely ruined
they've
the
left the
Stargazers.
tribe because they think there's another way. Only through understanding will we be able to defeat the worm. Listen, the fire's burning us right now, but we need to understand where it came from. Only then can we defeat it. And correctly, the Garou view this as sanctimonious nonsense. The worm isn't going to go away if you build a soup kitchen, it'll just ooze itself into the soup.
Yeah, basically the Stargazers were like, yeah, going full kill all humans is dumb. Listening to the Red Talons is dumb. Let's try to improve humanity's mindset. That's the
Also,
Stargazers' point of view.
Was it the Stargazers or the Silent Striders that in Old World of Darkness were Romani?
I think it was the Silent Striders.
All right, so
That's the
but
children of Gaia, wrong tribe. You think these motherfuckers care? They're Vampire the Masquerade idiots. And even then, they're vampire players that are so butt fuckingly stupid that they decided to ignore Panders, the actual Catif group, to make their own clan New Blood or whatever. Fuck that shit.
and let's see what else they talk about as the lesser estranged you can meet with. Members of the Lost Tribes. You could meet a White Howler,
Oh yeah, they're
despite
still
them all
around
being
somehow.
Forsworn. Those who were lost to the Umbra after their first change. The Stolen Moons. They've all done something terrible
By the
to
way, if
gain
you're
their
wondering what the
power.
stolen moons are, these pussy-footed bitches are ignoring that this is Samuel Hate's tribe. This is the tribe he created by
Oh,
sacrificing werewolves to allow them to don their skins.
oh,
It takes 5 of them, by the way, to do it. That's why they're called that's why they were called Stolen Moons, because they had to. And that's not actually their real name. They had a different name than this. This is them trying to regain the rights, I bet.
Hmm. Then is the Leeches, the vampires,
Yep.
humans, monster hunters, as always, cults, various companies,
By the way, notice
spirits
that Pentex
themselves.
is not at all in the companies, because that's later.
Yeah. Spirits.
I find it interesting that they wanted to focus on the get first over the spirits, which is the thing that they're
Hmm.
focusing on.
And then they give up the Bane spirits and Fomori.
Yeah, just so you know, Pentex isn't responsible for the massive waves of Fomori anymore.
And then other shifters. We finally get other shifters. We learned about the crow and the spider back in the werewolf book, but now we have bear shifters,
Yep.
rat shifters, and that's it.
Don't you like
You want
how
your
they're
elephant?
dripping and
You,
drabbing they're dripping and
yeah.
drabbing the other shifters to try to get you idiots to buy this 5th edition book? You know what
You
you could
want
do
the
instead? You could buy Werewolf 20th or the revised edition. There's so many things that you can do. There's breed books for all sorts of things, like the Macaulay if you want to play them.
or get the cursed changing breeds book.
You could also play the Bastet. The Bastet actually have entire books dedicated to them. I would imagine I'd probably prefer that. I would also recommend War Against the Pure specifically because they also include animal shifters. By the way, the other shifters literally make up 1 page. No, they make up 2 pages.
Yep. And then they give us new systems, flaws, native gifts.
By the way, one of the flaws is you just smell.
Hmm.
Which, don't get me wrong, that's probably the average player base in a Werewolf the Apocalypse group, or any LARP group in general.
And then our lore sheets. And these, the piece de resistance.
Well, no, you forgot the flaw. You guys are bullies. You guys are bullies. Wah, wah.
Or no, your custodians. Your babysitting elder, weakened elders or young Garou.
Changing Breeds did not kill half the crew. What Changing Breeds was an attempt to shove Werewolf the Apocalypse into Werewolf the Forsaken, which was also a titanic fucking mistake because Phil Mercado hated Forsaken and wanted to make it more like Apocalypse. He also really wanted to fuck cats.
That might not be the weirdest thing about Phil Mercado.
It's not. By the way, here are the new characters if you want to make fun of them. Here's not Greta Thunberg, just
A
repeating the
red
talking
talon,
points.
a red talon Ragabash. I want you to understand, this is a red talon who decided to fight for Gaia and save the world, create an NGO.
Also, on top of that, it's a red talon that starts from human stock. Because that's
Her,
the other
her,
thing. Werewolf 5th got rid of that they only start as lupine.
and to fight and save biodiversity, they will organize demonstrations, do civil disobedience, and social media campaigns to inform the populace and to demand the government and corporations act according to
Translation:
their
her
aims.
father, this person's father, and another Red Talon is writing her talking points for her.
Let's go. Yay, fight the power
I can't wait.
by
I can't wait for this character to then say something massively anti-Semitic, like Israel should be abolished, and then
Oh yeah, no,
lose
that's
all of
probably
her
what's
marketing.
happened. Is that she immediately said there's a lot of wyrm in Israel. It must be destroyed. But your abilities, if you get this, if you're with her lore sheet. Also, one thing to point out, she considers the Weaver a bigger threat than the Worm. She also
Which,
might be a stolen moon.
oh, she might actually be from Samuel Hate's tribe.
They don't know. That might make a lot of sense, though.
That'd be funny. That'd be
Uh,
actually really funny.
I like this one. For 3 dots, devotion to the cause.
Oh, actually,
You
before
have
we
to.
do, there is one more thing I have to say. Technically, you could argue that the Stolen Moons are Samuel Hate's tribe, but you know what my rebuttal to that also is? Chronicles of Darkness actually had a group of shifters called skinwalkers, skin changers, that require you to take the skins of animals. So they might actually be stealing from that instead. We don't really know.
So we
Just as a
have.
heads up.
Yeah. So if you are devoted to the cause, if you have another engagement such as date or a work shift, you skip to fight the Weaver or the Worm. You suffer whatever repercussions come from that. If you travel by plane, litter, pollute, or eat industrially manufactured meat, you take a 2 dice penalty to all tests for the rest of the cumulative with penalties from this lore sheet.
Oh, by the way, my rebuttal to that is the organic companies are also equally fucking responsible, just to let you know. In fact, the only difference is they've just raised the prices after washing off the pesticides more often than not.
That is
It's similar to how if you get a vegan burger from like a Burger King or whatever, you're still tasting beef fat because they don't give a shit. They ain't gonna clean the fucking grill for you. Yeah, skin thieves were also a thing. They were a thing in Forsaken, but they also were a thing in well, in World of Darkness. It's notoriously Sam H tried.
next up though is Alejandro Vaporfang Mendoza.
I like how they have the Mexican in jail.
Well, uh, he did something.
I also like how
Hacking
they
into databases.
impersonated his face based on Donald Trump's prison photo.
Not really.
It's the frown in the position and the hair.
The eyes though.
What eyes? They're soulless.
Eh, So, because he had hacked into databases and leaked information to the public, considers some consider him a traitor to his country, others consider him a hero of free speech and democracy.
Oh, is this
Well,
dummy supposed to be represent what's his name?
God, it's been over a decade. Uh,
He's currently a
the
bitch
NSA
boy of
guy.
yeah, he's currently a bitch boy of the Russian government.
Yeah, I don't. Edward Snowden.
Yeah.
That's the guy. Possibly, although this guy grew up in Bolivia. He's currently serving 35 years in prison in the United States.
Yeah, this is just Edward Snowden. They're that lazy. They're just taking real people and just changing them a bit.
Uh, I do like for five
By the
dots
way, this is
once.
$45. Just to let you know, this
Yeah.
costs $45. You know, for
Why is he?
130 pages.
Why is he still locked up? For crimes including espionage and conspiracy.
Yeah, this is Edward Snowden, but they
He's
made him
committed
Mexican.
multiple
Well,
he has committed
Colombian.
multiple crimes.
Not Colombian, Bolivian.
Though
I'm sorry. I'm being
yeah,
stupid. I'm sorry.
I do like for 5 dots once per story you can publicize any piece of information, false or accurate, and it will be spread on internet forums, stored on wikis, published on the front page of newspapers. This can have a serious effect on politics, personal relationships,
Congratulations.
other
You're just transcribing Edward Snowden, but made him Bolivian. What a joke.
whoever controls the media controls the world.
$45? Yeah, this piece of shit costs $45. 45 buccarinos. Do you want it? You can get it on sale sometimes for $35. I made a point to look around at the price tags for this son of a bitch.
So, next up is Jonas Albrecht. Born to a family of poor Polish immigrants in Vermont, when his change came upon him, it altered him. He became Jonas Albrecht, a fearless Silver Fang warrior. He epitomizes the glory of the Garou Nation. He was the Garou Nation. Then,
Yeah,
as the
he
Garou
was
Nation
the
was
he
broken,
was the
he
character. That
broke
was
too.
cool. Yeah, he's Jake Skywalker. This is Jake Albrecht. It's not really Jonas, so fuck him.
Yep. Then we have Lu, returning maiden, Ihan. I butchered that name, but well, this butchers the lore. She grew up.
This is even worse because
She grew up.
The New Year's moot's even shittier because they're making her like the representation of the fucking Chinese deity.
So,
So
she
not
grew up
only
in.
is this offensive to the Jewish people, it also fucking offends anyone who believes in the Chinese traditional religions. Excellent choice.
So,
Excellent fucking choice.
I want people to understand this. She was a pilot on the Chinese manned space program, and then she had her change on one of those flights.
Somehow.
She changed to a Mongolian wolf for the first when orbiting the moon and felt an immense connection to Luna herself. She somehow did not kill all the crew and blast herself into space,
That would have been what actually happened, and you know it.
though she one day wants to land on the moon. Yet her wolf name, returning maiden, references the Chinese moon goddess Chang'e.
Yep, she celebrated in New
She
Year's
has no.
traditions.
She also has no auspice. She does not have a role
What a load of shit.
because since lunar phases only exist in relation to Earth.
Bullshit. She basically this is a crappy Mary Sue character who has all of the roles and capacities of all of them. If you need her to be a Gaylord, you could. Ragabash doesn't fucking matter. Philodox doesn't fucking matter.
How did she
This is
not
how
die while
much
on
of
the
a
ship? How did she not die? Well,
well, you see,
Gaia,
the
the
plot needed
moon.
her. We needed her. We needed an example to like
A wizard did it.
bull crap happened because we thought it was cool and are too brain dead to understand. It's the same reason why that Japanese man didn't kill a couple dozen people when he changed in the middle of a nightclub.
Darkstone's
God.
pointing out you can actually summon a moon spirit with
Yeah,
this
yeah, the
person.
Umber is a thing, and it involves the moon. Like, it
Yeah.
does involve the moon, so every aspect of this is dumb. This is them poorly borrowing from
She
from
also
Forsaken.
she also apparently never suffers the pangs of rage.
What a load of fucking Mary Sue bullshit.
Yeah. Next up is Oba Trailblazer Makinde,
Or as I'm
a
going to
Colossus
call him,
Walker.
Urkel Model 3867 because the white people are terrified of actual black people.
He is another African American who lives in Silicon Valley.
Well, no, he's a Nigerian born, so he's actual Nigerian scammer, I guess.
No, well, I'm making an Elon Musk joke here.
Oh boy.
Ever since his change, he's been more interested in the Weaver than in Gaia, claiming to want to change the system from within. To that end, he is now the CEO and CTO of a Pentex front, which provides AI-based surveillance solutions to military-industrial complex in several countries. This
This
information has
character
been used
sucks,
to
and it is.
assassinate
Yeah, you're right.
dissidents, journalists, opposition politicians, and activists. He's probably worm-tainted.
Probably. He has to be.
And now we are at Ross the She-Wolf Jackson, a proud gay man in human form. The silent strider Philodox Ross Jackson said to change into a female coyote and lead a pack of coy wolves, coyote and wolf hybrids. Of course, it's a female.
You know what
There's a
I
female
just
content.
realized? Okay, so do you want to know what I've just realized about these awful fucking characters, except Jonas?
What?
These are characters they made up during playtesting. These are their stupid power fantasy piles of shit.
Oh.
This is their power fantasy.
Well then, why did this person apparently adopt a human infant, which he carries with him in a baby carrier when he's got his hands, and by its clothes when equipped with paws?
I don't
And
know.
the baby does not suffer delirium. And I like this for 4 dots.
So this
You can be a
person
oh,
endangers the life of a child
yeah.
repeatedly.
Yes, our heroes. Also,
Also, the
a
gender changing
heckin'
thing is
a
from fucking
heckin'
Forsaking.
valid trans wolf. For 4 dots, you can change your sex as you change shape. And for 5 dots, pride, you are a member of a minority group. Once per story, if you spend a scene hanging out with members of this community, you recover all lost willpower. You are expected, though, to protect this group, and if you ever refuse a call for help from someone in this minority, you sustain 3 points of aggravated willpower damage and lose this trait until you provided said help.
Also, I think coyote shifters are also a thing. I forget if they are a thing in Apocalypse, but I could have swore they were their own type.
I will say this: if you then choose the Jewish group, just specifically center that minority much more specifically, you will suffer the you will lose a ton of willpower and aggravated damage from the calls of Jewish mothers.
Oh yeah, every single one of these characters suck ass.
Well, we still have one more to go. Vadana the Impresario Puri,
So
a
Lupine,
Heartwarden Gallard.
so an Irish Indian wolf-born person.
Well, with the Impresario term, I'm wondering, is she Hispanic?
No, Puri, Vandana Puri. That is Indian. That is
Uh,
Hindi.
You have, and with that very little lore,
There's
uh,
also nothing of value here. She's literally her only purpose is to throw parties for the moots. So I guess she
and
sets
then
up the Moloch celebrations or whatever. I don't fucking
uh,
know.
the massive orgies.
By the way, I like this werewolf vomiting on the ground. That's kind of how I feel at the end of this piece of shit.
And that and that is the end of this book.
You guys chose this as the palate cleanser. By the way, here's all of the IPs they're skull fucking. Here they are. Here's all of them, and they're all dead and fucking full of crap. Including, and you can't even escape it by playing Chronicles anymore, since they got basically Paradox took the rights from them and never gave it back. So that's why they had to make Curseborn. You're stuck with this crap. You're stuck with this garbage.
So what have we learned today?
Did they
Seriously,
ever
what
accept?
have we learned?
Um, you know the damnedest thing is usually I like Toolkit books, but they don't even really do that well. I learned that they don't understand Jewish festivals. They don't understand that
That's
it's
true.
a Passover, and they don't get that it wouldn't make sense to have a yearly thing.
Well, you could, but still, my gripe was that a Shabbat would allow you to have more of a moot setting rather than a Seder, which it just has a lot more rituals involved in
I
it.
learned that there's Jake Albrecht, who's not Jonas Albrecht. Jonas Albrecht is an actual character who like is the example of a werewolf. I learned that Jake Albrecht exists, and he's a broken down bitch old cuck who will die, who will be dead and be replaced with the modern audience characters that no one will care for or watch. I learned that if you go to the moon as a werewolf, you gain the power to have all the powers, which is like a fucking. That's an Eric Cartman quote. I have the power to have all the powers. It's literally fucking Cartman, like an 8-year-old fat entitled child.
What a perfect description.
I learned that they are so secure and confident in Werewolf the Apocalypse, they had to kill the Chronicles of Darkness and steal all of the hard work over years that Onyx Path made for it.
Well, again, to reference the classic and most impactful Star Wars film, The Last Jedi, it's not about saving what we love; it's about killing what we hate.
Oh, I was actually going
Wait,
to
I think I
quote
got that wrong.
Indiana Jones 5, where it's and then I stole it. It's called capitalism.
That's actually much more fitting.
This is plundering this is actually not only plundering the original IP, it then plunders the IP made by the alumni after you kicked them out because you didn't want to pay them, and then stealing their stuff and then slapping it on yours without any understanding. and then demanding $45 for this pile of shit. I actually think this is one of the most contemptible books in the version 5 of the World of Darkness. Like, I'll be frank, I don't like Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. I think there's a lot of issues with it. But this is just cynical. This is a pathetic attempt to just take Werewolf the Forsaken, because it has all the things you want for a Werewolf 5th edition, and then slapping it on. It's as pathetic as it was when Changing Breeds did the same thing, but with Apocalypse. And let's see, who are the, how many writers did they had? They had 5 fucking writers. Oh, no, 6,
Nope.
7, 8. They had 8 writers.
9.
They had 9 writers, holy shit. They only had 1
No,
editor,
wait,
by
8.
the way.
8.
They had
8
8
or I don't
writers
know.
and 1 editor. And this is what happens when you have a Vampire the Masquerade player who never grew to appreciate Apocalypse like, say, I did, write the book. And actually, no. Because that would require, I would still probably have given more effort. You want to know why? I would have taken it like the Andor writer. Because, fun fact, the Andor writer, the guy for Star Wars Andor, actually thinks Star Wars is for lame babies. He doesn't like it. But you know what he did? He studied the lore, he studied the universe, and actually incorporated it into his story. This is what happens when you don't even bother to do that. Even if you don't like the product, this is what happens. I'm gonna rate this a trash fire. I think, well, no. I can't even stare at it in fascination, because the worst stuff is near the end, where they try to redeem the Black Spiral Dancers in the most unearned way possible. Oh, and also confusing the Get of Fenris with the Red Talons, and then confusing the Stargazers for, what was the one that they confused them with?
Silent Striders.
No, I think it was another one. Let me look. Someone actually pointed out that they stole it from another one. I
And
I
I'm
don't
drawing
remember,
a
but
blank.
it's the wrong fucking tribe. But yeah, thank you, Renegade Studios. You made a terrible book. I don't recommend it. I strongly
I
don't
think they
recommend it.
just produce it.
Ah, the
It's still
Stargazers were confused with the Children of Gaia. That's how fucking stupid they are. I rate this. As a. It's not deep hurting, because I'm not like angry. It's not like Changing Breeds. I can't really say it's a entertaining garbage fire, but it's a
yeah,
garbage fire.
I vote this a whimpering howl of defeat and death.
Yeah, I rate this. Jake Albrecht. I rate this Jake Albrecht right before he dies, whimpering in the arms of his Lebanese replacement. He'll be on the floor dying and whimpering and holding on to the Lebanese woman who's replacing him. That's what it is.
Though with that, we will next week be
Doesn't this make
finishing
you
up
feel
the
more
game.
hyped for Degenesis after this?
Yeah, we will be finishing up and actually going into the mechanics of the game.
Yeah, and it's gonna actually improve, because I've read the mechanics. They're good. I don't know why the fuck you guys chose this as the palate cleanser, but it is making me looking forward to Degenesis, so I guess if that's the plan, it worked.
And with that, we hope you all have a good night.
And have a good night drinking to forget what the fuck we just read, because this was not worth $45. Thank God I found it in a